Good afternoon, everybody. When you are ready, we're about to begin, so can you please take your seat? You've got your notes to work from. Okay. And you just say not more than 4 minutes. I'll have the green light. Not more than 4 minutes. I know. No, you told me not more than 4. That's the plan. But follow your heart. So that's more important. So the guys doing the streaming, it's sorted. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raymond Netman, and I'm actually a minister with the White Robe Monks of St. Benedict. And I had the privilege of being contacted to honor Natascha or Natty, and to kind of hold a space as people come together and share memories and share stories. And most importantly, to celebrate somebody's life. And I must say, when I came in, I even said, wow, you've caught the spirit of celebration. And there's so much to be sad for, but at the same time, there's so much to celebrate. And when we look at a life well lived, it can be an opportunity for us to celebrate our own lives and also to recognize that Natty did lead her life fully and on her terms. So welcome everybody here, everybody here today, and also those people that are streaming in online at the moment. And today is a sad day. Death and memorial services are sad. However, from what I've heard from Natty, she would say to us today, she would say, please don't be sad for me. Please don't cry too much for my passing. I had a great life. I lived and I loved. I laughed and I cried. I won and lost. I saw many things. I learned many things. I saw so many places, and I met so many people. And I had an awesome family. I marched to the beat of my own drum, sometimes confusing those that loved me. I tried to be a good child, a good sister, a good sibling. I tried to be a good aunt, a good friend. I was successful, and at times I failed. I have a few regrets, but I wouldn't change much. So celebrate my life at this gathering. Celebrate and remember my successes. Remember the many good times we shared. So life goes on, so celebrate mine, and then do the best to get on with your own lives. And of course, I'm sure if we had to respond to Natty, and we would say to Natty, by remembering you, we are acknowledging your presence here today. And we have come here to honor and to pay our last respects. And we want you to know that we do care. And we've come to honor you and your life. We have come to be with you and with each other, to grieve momentarily together, but most importantly, to be with you and release you into your new experience. So, as like in this spirit, friends and family, as we gather here today to remember and celebrate the life of Nati, we come together to honor a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend who lived a good and fulfilling life, a life that touched the hearts of those she encountered. And today, as we reflect on her journey, let us find solace in the knowledge that she is out of pain now and finally at peace, having left this world surrounded by the love and care of all those people that she held dear. I'm good. So I must say, when I met, you came to my office, and we spent a little bit of time reflecting on the life of Natascha, of Nati. And you left the room. I just thought, gosh, she sounds like quite a character. There's so many kind of multi-levels to what I heard. And so the person that I connected with was a strong person, a really kind of powerful person, and at times a controlling person. But not for any other reason than for the people that she really loved. She had the strength, and she had the strength for other people. That's good. Come on in. You're very welcome. I've lost my thought now. So you're very welcome. Find a seat. So just kind of connecting with the person that she was, and recognizing that outside the strength and the power and almost like the walled offness that sometimes she approached people and she dealt with life, the truth of it, behind that wall, there was a treasure, a real gem, a gem of vulnerability and softness and kindness. And if she felt safe and available, that soft side of her would just come out. And I'm sure you all know how passionate she was about her own cats, and how she kind of would do anything for them. And not only for them, for any being that was vulnerable, that was suffering. And I'm quite sure that at any time where she saw injustice, she was the kind of person that would not hold back. She would be out in the front, defending the rights of those people that didn't have the power and strength to do it themselves. So she's complicated. She comes with strength, and at the same time she comes with this incredible gentleness. And even in the last 6 weeks, when she was really confronted by her vulnerability, even then she held on to her strength. And you were telling me how she said, look, don't cry in front of me. Don't allow me to experience the gentleness of that love that you have for me. because I know that's just going to actually make me crumble completely. So she had this kind of incredible balance between being strong and being weak at the same time. And now it's over. And now she can let it go. And she can leave all of that behind her as she enters into a place where she can be the person that she was meant to be, the person that her whole life was moving towards. And it ended too soon, too quickly. She wasn't ready. But now she enters into that place where she can almost strip herself of all those things that she needed to keep herself safe, all that armor. And she can enter into the other side, her next experience, her next incarnation in a way of feeling free, free to be vulnerable, and really free to be herself. And as we begin this phase in the celebration where we talk and remember her, tell stories, I'm sure you're going to see that Natascha was indeed true to herself. That she tried to rise to the challenges of her life. That she indeed lived every day according to the truth, at times being very blunt. That she dedicated her life to her family and to her fur babies. That she lived and loved and experienced what she needed to. And that she was certainly herself. And we know mostly that she followed her true path. And I really believe that in so doing, she really fulfilled her personal mission on earth. So as to begin the tributes, obviously we need to begin with the beginning, the most important, the dad. So Fritz, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, I've got the mic if you want to hold it, or I can hold it for you.
Thanks.
Actually, if you want to sit down, it's also fine. You want to sit down? Good. That's for your friends and family. It is your
Brille? Brille? Hast du deine Brille?
Brille habe ich, ja.
Okay, ansonsten setz einfach meine auf.
Nee, ich habe.
Nee, bloß daran nicht. Okay, okay. Soll ich halten?
Nee. Good afternoon, dear family, friends, and I'm very glad that you have joined us today to get some stärkte out of the gathering, because it is difficult for one person alone to deal with this tragedy and to deal with a matter that is beyond your reach and your control. Now, I believe you all had a good knowledge of Natascha, and she was here. There were 3 girls in our house, and there was another 3 girls one house further down. So there were lots of chaps, all girls, with whom they could play and spend the afternoon. Now, the one across the road, she was German, but he was from New Zealand. And she, when our contingent got tricycles and they entered the road, she would sort of look out of the window and say, "Here comes the German army." Of course, it was meant in jest, and we have been very good neighbors. Uh, and Karin, you have an intimate knowledge of the goings on, and it is very unfortunate and regrettable that she had to leave us on this note. But Raymond has commented on her being an individual, being a person of own ideas and own decisions. And this is absolutely true. I mean, it was not possible to get Natascha to change her mind. Once she was set on a course, she would follow that one, irrespective. And that can work in her favor, or it can work in her disfavor. We tried, my late wife and all our children, we've got 3 girls, like Jesus have also got 3 girls. We had a good time together. Never mind the children's party. I remember very distinctly when Werner on 69 came across with his contingent and would all go into my pool. Now that was getting quite full. The problem was we would always have to look, where are they? You count to 4, says 2 missing. But yes, we have been here for what is it? Since more than 30 years, and we have had a very good time. And Natascha was obviously, being the oldest of the Borsuk family. She had such a following in our friends that they said, they want to become a godmother and a godmother and a godmother, and so it went on. And she ended up with 5 initials: Gabriele, Renate, Natascha, Georgette. So these were her initials. And she was very fed up with it when she was traveling somewhere and she had to fill the whole rigmarole in what it was. Oh, yeah. Her attributes had some distinct points. One, once she had set her mind on something, it was very difficult to get her off that one. She would follow it through. And she would follow it through, even if occasionally she would tread on some toes. But those of you that knew Natascha would realize that this is part of her. This is the way she lives, the way she goes on holidays, she speaks, and that's her being. Now, when the time had come, she went to the German school, like all the other kids did as well. And at the German school, she was excellent in swimming. She was she was elected in the school team. And an unfortunate incident came. She had swum the length, and she put her leg behind the pipe and somebody came from behind and gave her a push to try and shove her into the water. But she was of the opinion she had just lost a leg, because that is, it's quite a painful and it shouldn't be done. However, she then had she had a good feel for languages, and it was 6 weeks prior to writing matric when her French teacher phoned me and said, "Do you realize that Natascha has opted not to write French in matric?" I said, "No, that's news to me." And we had a few words of exchange, Natascha and I, and I got vindicated. We went skiing in Switzerland, and we had hired some rooms there and accommodation. And Natascha, first of all, she makes for the television set. And she switches it on and she comes back. She says, "Dad, I could understand what he was saying." I said, "Yeah, probably spoke French." She said, "Yes, that was it." She says, "So you can bring it to some kind of usefulness." She went to Wits after having completed a course in okay. This thing is heavy. So she had friends who frequented our house, and she went on holiday. So she was able to do all the things that young people of that age can do. And there were enough friends that would participate in that and support her. On a more serious note, she managed to accomplish and receive what's it? Yeah, a university degree of Wits in microbiology. Now, she was quite successful. She went to the owner of the brewery, and he said to her, he said, "Listen, you speak German." "Yes, I do," she said, "because we want to introduce into the South African market a new type of beer." "Oh," she says, "what does it entail?" Well, he outlined and he said, "Okay, I think on Monday you're off." And it was a brewery which was owned by, in Fürstenfeldbruck, by a German aristocrat in Bavaria. And she got there, and after 2 weeks, she phones me and she says, "Dad, I'm coming home." I said, "Well, don't be daft. What do you mean you're coming home?" "Oh, no. This is too much here. These cherries, oh. Anyway, she says, "Let me put it to you this way. I wake up, I look out of the window, what do I see? Another wall." So now at 7 o'clock I have to be in the brewery, so I have to really get the move on to be there at 7 o'clock. I said, "Yes, and what is it?" I said, "In Munich you have a big German community, German school. So if you want to make friends, Munich is the place to be." No, she says, "Dad, I'm coming home." I said, "Well, what is it?" She said, "You know, I am maybe a bit sensitive, but the other day I'm in the passage and I have spoken to another fellow in the from the brewery, and he was making himself a cup of coffee. He said, I'd say to him, would you mind making for me also a cup of coffee? And he retorted, says, that will be the day. And that put her off completely. She says, no, you can, if they don't even make a cup of coffee. But she was at the same time, from a business point of view, she was in charge of marketing of the franchise Schott and Söhne, which is a laboratory supplier in Germany. And she would go on her car in the Witwatersrand and market the Schott products. Yes. But she also was more on the selling side than the scientific side. And there was a display of the beer, and she was on stand duty there. And she said to me, you know, Dad, after the second day on this stand, I have sold more beer than the salesman. I said, well, that's good for you. Did you get paid? Oh, no, she says. No, I didn't get paid. You see, there, because she enjoyed what she was doing, it was secondary of interest to her whether she would be paid or not. And I had to sort of tell her that it is just good sense that every piece of work that you do, yielding results, that somebody gets rewarded for it. So this was the Bavaria. Huh? Yeah. Huh? Huh. Schulstoffe would have. When we had a change in the makeup of our company, we obtained a franchise for automotive globes, which we imported and which we sold here. And she was joining my company, and she was quite successful because if anything she could do very well was she could sell. She could first of all sell herself, and then also she would know what it takes. Of course, we had meetings together, and she was quite successful. Unfortunately, at some stage later on, she decided to leave the company. And Stephanie, who was in the company as well, she also decided to go somewhere else, which she did, staying in the family, of course. So what Natascha comes to is, she has been a very reliable individual. If she likes you, she'll move the earth for you. If she doesn't like you, you can stand on your head. But this is her makeup. And we're now going to miss her because her distinctive makeup will sorely be missed. I think you can join me in the expectation or in the feeling that where she is now, she is not suffering any more pain, of which she had plenty while she was in hospital, and that she is in a place where she will not suffer, where she will have joy, and that she will be taken care of. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dad. Thank you.
Hi, Nats. Hi, Boots. You want a cup of tea? Sure, darling. That was mostly what our mornings would be. Working at NUS, getting ready for the day. Then the kettle would go on. Nats would grab the pool net, do the rounds, collect the bees or any other hapless animal that had fallen in, rescue, cup of tea was made, and then the day would start. Hey, Dad, that's how the days would go. I was very lucky to work with my sister. I left home when I was 18. So, there were big gaps. But let me start at the beginning. At 65, the big garden, there was a big window, and outside the window was a big tree. And Mom and Dad had this moon-shaped baby crib on wheels, which our children have also been in. And that was wheeled under the tree. I was put in there with the blanket over. And Nats thought, let me go check on my little sister. Off she goes, and she said, Steph, the blanket was over your face. I saved you. Okay, Nats, I don't remember. She said, don't you remember? I said, well, how am I supposed to remember that? Then, hey, Feeks. I was little. You guys were so much older. I was never allowed to play with my sisters. I was sent home. I was made to tidy their rooms. I had to be useful. I had to be the lookout because Nats was secretly smoking. And then she was on the pool lilo, and now we had to practice because Mom was working at the library. So I was lookout, and then we did the practice run. And then I yelled, Mom! And then she put her smoke out because she was on the lilo in the pool. And then I went to the pool, and she said, well, where is Mom? I said, no, this was a practice. She said, do you realize this was my last ciggy? Okay, and she was really mad because, getting to the shops wasn't so easy. Then, what else? The ciggy holes, I have to check the notes. Then, when Nat's 7 years older than I am, so when she had a boyfriend, a teenage boyfriend who was driving, every Friday we'd get into his car, drive to Pretoria to have hamburgers and a milkshake. So the parents thought we were certified crazy, but Mozzie, Andrew Mosby, he always piled us in his car, and off we went. And I absolutely adored him because, he was nice to me because everybody else always made me work. And so it was very nice to be treated like gold. With the parties, Mum and Dad traveled a lot when Nati was a teenager. And I think it was quite well known at the German school that when the Borsuk parents weren't there, it was going to be a party. But we all had chores. So Mom and Dad left, and now we had to do our chores. Now, knowing that there was going to be a party on the weekend, I would refuse to do mine. And then, when people came for the party, I would sort of say, well, I haven't vacuumed, so, won't you please do that? And I kind of got quite crafty. Am I making sense? I got quite crafty in letting the revelers do my housework that I didn't have to do it. Very good. Unfortunately, the downside of that was that I then, on the Sunday, before the parents came back, I then had to go and spray Doom, all right, to hide the smoke smell. So that was my job. And to just make sure that everything was picked up and didn't look too messy. So you see, Nats had her working finger, and when I asked her, why must I do that, she'd say, because I'm the boss. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Nat. So then I left for Germany. Nati was studying. We spoke a lot. In those times, I came home once a year. And yeah, I was very proud of Nats because after Wits had asked her not to come back, I think it was calculus, but she'd almost finished her degree. It was her last year of her BSc in microbiology. And then she worked, and then Wits contacted her, and Wits said, look, if you don't write your exams in the next year, all your credits are going to disappear. So at the age of, was it 26, Natascha went back to varsity and finished and passed calculus and got her degree. And I must say that shows, you know, she was a determined woman. As you said, Dad, that was her way. On the talking without the filter part, yeah, that wasn't always much to her advantage, but as you said, that's who she is, that's who she was. And, you know, you don't change. You get born a certain way with what you've been given, and you nurture what you've been given. And as an adult, I suppose you can modify some things and not others. But, yeah, Nat, I don't think she really wanted to modify that brain-to-mouth filter too much. Well, it's fine. You always knew where you stood, and that was good. Where am I? Yes. Then let me just rephrase this. We then were older. Nati had met Keith. I'd met Ivo. We were settling down, and I had Luca, and then Nati fell pregnant, but she unfortunately lost that child. And I think she took that love that she would have had. And then it was the animals. It was the cats, any animal that she just loved. It was a bit sometimes annoying because you couldn't go for a walk, and if there was somebody walking their dog, she'd go up to them and say, have you got water? Why are you walking your dog in the middle of the sun? It's 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock or 4 o'clock. And she would interrogate them and want them to be kind to the animal and make sure that they were. Yes. The last year, she had a really hard last couple of years, and initially it got her really down, but she was picking herself up. She was really looking forward to, she started a business, and she was very confident and sure that this was going to be her way forward because it suited her personality. The product that she was selling was everything that she believed in. It wasn't, and I think had she been given a chance, she would have done really well, and her life was just beginning to take shape. The problem was that she'd neglected herself, but maybe also, we can't say, life is weird. And so unfortunately, just as she was beginning to see her way forward, her emotional way forward her emotional way forward and being able to move back into the home in Dainfern that she loved with everything, she couldn't wait. Unfortunately, she never did have the opportunity to even just spend the night there or to even visit it. That opportunity, we couldn't give that to her. Her condition was just such that we could not transport her. So, Nat, darling, you always walked with us. And ooh. And now we will always walk with you. So, yes, that's me. So, please, the next song, you will probably recognize from something else, but this song, Nats, we walk together wherever you are.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blow. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone, and you'll never walk alone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today on this occasion, celebrating Natascha's life. My role today is just to give some messages that have been passed on to us from various family and friends. But just a quick one. I met Natascha before I met Stephanie, ironically, through a very good friend of mine, and then that was in about 91, 92. And then Natascha was instrumental in getting myself and Stephanie together, along with her friend, and that's how Steph and I met each other in 94. So Natascha was instrumental in our lives in putting Steph and I together and where I am today with the Borsig family. Amongst the Borsig family, we also have the Macmillan family, and Bruce is Keith's son, second son, one of the two sons. Sorry, Wayne. And Bruce sent me from the Macmillan family some condolences, and he just wanted me to pass them on to the family. I won't read all of the messages. I'm just going to say who they were from. So there's one here from Ziggy Macmillan, sending condolences. Liesel Kuhn, Craig Macmillan, Aunt Charmaine Macmillan. So this is directly from his phone. Aunt Claudia and Sandy Macmillan. So to the Macmillan family, thank you very much for the condolences. I have passed the message on to Steph and she's read them all, but thank you very, very much. Then we have a message here from
Johan and Gail Fritz. Johan and Gail were my mom's neighbors in Royal Parks, and they've sent this message. Dearest Fritz and family, our deepest sympathies for your great loss. May you find comfort daily in the loving memories of your beloved child, sister and aunt. Our warmest thoughts and prayers are with you during this very sad time. May Natascha rest in peace. Sending our fondest love and strength to you all. Regards, Johan and Gail. Then Natascha's sister Ulrika has come from America. You all know that. And Ulrika's family is also in America, but they couldn't all come out. So there is a message here from Dan, Ulrika's husband's mom. Dearest Rika and family, friends and family have truly lost a very special, loving and caring individual, Natascha. During the few years I was in Natascha's company, her welcome was so warm and loving, I felt we had known each other over a lifetime. Her exuberance overflowed, her voice with that special laughter, so all special and so distinctly, Natascha can still be heard. They will never be forgotten. I will carry them with me forever. It's not easy to lose a child or sibling, but as years pass you reflect upon happy moments and that you and Natascha shared, bringing joy, smiles, and laughter to the heart. I'm going to interrupt this at this point. The photographs here, and I have to point this out, in every single photograph, Natascha is smiling and laughing. It is absolutely amazing. I'll carry on. Her most recent suffering and willingness to defeat her cancer has now come to a peaceful and quiet ending. We all felt her suffering and wished that there could have been a successful cure, but unfortunately that was not to be. With heartfelt love to all, Bonnie. Thank you, Rika. So those are the messages I received. Thank you very much. I think, Rika, hand over to you. Thank you. Other boys, thank you. Who's first? Okay. Thank you.
So hi everyone. As you know, I'm Massimo and it's my brother Luca, and we are Natascha's nephews. And we asked if we could say a few words today. We just wanted to start by thanking you all for being here and for all the continued support that family from everywhere has given us. So thank you. Like I just said, Luke and I are here today to celebrate the life of Natascha through the lens of her nephews. We were thinking about this, and there are so many different memories that we could have shared, but to share them all, we would have been here quite a while. So I'd like to start with a story that happened quite recently, actually, about 3 years ago. We were going to celebrate Natascha's birthday, but due to an unfortunate childhood and series of events, I had to go for a nose operation. And the aim of that evening for me was not to laugh, because laughing meant it would get sore every time I grinned or moved my cheeks. It was quite sore. What I quickly came to realize, though, that my goal was quite ambitious, especially given to be in the presence of Nati. And what this meant is that almost 30 minutes into the celebrations, I had to run to my mom and be like, please just give me more painkillers, because I couldn't take all the laughing and smiling that Nati was making me do. So I think for me this story really highlights Nati's uncanny ability to sort of make everyone in a room laugh and smile. No matter what your circumstances are, no matter what you had been through, she would always put a smile on your face. And something I learned quite early on already. From Nati's famous "nee" to her witty comments or sometimes unique views on topics, a night with her was guaranteed full of smile and full of laughter. As we've also heard, Natascha was a very fierce and feisty person. She lived by her own truths and in her own way. However, I think Luke and I sometimes didn't see this, and we often saw a different side of her, a compassionate and loving side. She rarely missed an opportunity to spend time with us, always coming to celebrate our achievements and our events. I always remember quite fondly running up to her and just telling her like something new I'd learned or what school was like, and she was always very interested and wanted to know. Sort of at these events, she'd always tell us stories about us, which is always very fun. But one that she'd always say, it was a story about a stick. But now this was no ordinary stick. It was a stick that Luca and I were fighting about. So according to Nati, the story goes, I was still in my nappies, and obviously Luca, being 4 years older, was a bit bigger than me. And we were standing in the garden at 65 Colros Road, and when she came outside, I was crying my eyes out, but holding onto the stick with dear life, not letting my brother take it. So in context, Nati would always tell me the story to remind me to stay true to myself, hold on to the things that make you. And I think for me, this message has served as a constant source of sort of inspiration in my life, always something that I remember, and it really told me to follow my passions and do the things that I wanted to do, irrespective of who's holding the other side of the stick. So Nati, wherever you may be, I'd like to thank you for being such a loving and caring and supportive aunt. From the pika-pikas to the straight-to-the-point answers to questions. We will dearly miss you at all future celebrations and events. You had really inspired me to follow some of my passions and taught me what love and care really means for animals, alongside a whole other host and magnitude of skills. So I love you lots, and I hope you're resting in peace. Your Krümel.
Thank you, Masi. So, first of all, hello everybody from me as well. Masi has touched on all the love and support that we have received, and I would like to add my heartfelt thanks to everybody who has sent us those kind words of encouragement. I believe the people that we surround ourselves with are a reflection of who we are as a person, and I can say with certainty that all of us here today really portray Nati in her true light. One of my earliest memories of Nati comes courtesy of 65 Culross Road. It was time to go home, and after a long day of watching my chubby cheeks running like crazy through the garden, I will never forget how she christened me with a new nickname. It was time for a hug goodbye and a pinch on the bottom for her knödel. Now, for our English friends, a knödel is a dumpling, and the words of "Hallo, mein Knödel" will never ever leave me. It's one of my fondest memories of Nati. 65 was always a place that we could find Nati, whether it was for a quick snack after school or saving all the poor critters out of the pool, even down to, on hot summer days, stacking boxes and triple checking order numbers for NUS. Later in my life, I remember celebrating my 18th birthday with family and friends. Throughout the chaos of that night, I still remember how Nati somehow managed to find me out on the porch. We shared a sneaky cigarette. We don't know nothing. And we sat there speaking for quite a while, despite everything going on in the background. It was a conversation that will stay with me for a very long time, because we sat there and we spoke about growing up, life in general, things to live by, and the path forward. That interaction seemed so small at the time, and yet I can still remember it so clearly. Nati was always a close part of our lives, and we enjoyed many more memories together. The theme throughout was always that when Nati was around, laughter and hilarity ensued. So I was planning to do a toast, but we obviously don't have any charged glasses. But regardless, if there's anything that Nati has taught us, it is that life is to be enjoyed on your own terms. That being glamorous can also be very, very effortless. A glass of mut is always good. And most importantly of all, that driving in slops is not okay, but you always have to have a pair on hand in case of a little pit stop. Cheers to you, Nati. We're gonna love you. Mwah, mwah, and I love you always.
Good afternoon. Thank you to everybody for being here, and overseas, the streamers. I am Rika. My real name is Ulrike, but people have trouble pronouncing it, so I changed it to Rika, and those who really know me well know me as Figgy. That's a select group. So somehow we always have nicknames in our family, and then nobody knows whom we're talking about because we use the nicknames. So even the nurses said, "Who's Figgy?" Oh, they didn't know it's me, Rika, because they know me as Rika, but Nati calls me Figgy. So they're looking for different people. You know, it's just me. In any case, you've heard a lot about Nati today, a lot of stories, and Nati and I were, of course, closer. We are close in age, 18 months. And Nati and I shared a bedroom together. Stephanie had her own room, go figure. But here I am with Natascha. Natascha was organized, disciplined. She liked to be neat. I'm the opposite. I like piles and I'm sloppy. Now that's not a problem unless you're sharing a room. So she was pretty upset with me most of the time because I was messy and sloppy, but we made it. Yes, we had our beds together. Every 6 months we rearranged the beds, trying different ways to have more fun with it and close away. And in between we had some little fights here and there over stupid stuff like, "You broke my fingernail," you know, really stupid stuff. But overall, we were close for quite some time, and the best thing was that as she grew up as a teenager, as an older sister, she had friends. For me, that meant potential boyfriends. I had a farm of young men to look at from my older sister's friends. So when we were hanging out in Christmas in Ramsgate, every Christmas, it was amazing, it was wonderful. I actually found a boyfriend among one of her friends, so that was a win. But we had a great time in Ramsgate, and very fond memories to this day that she always said, you know, one day I'm going to live at the South Coast. That was a special place to be by the beach, by the South Coast. And the sad part is she was not able to go back there. So Stephanie brought the waves to her. So this was the last way we were able to bring the ocean to her. But then as we grew up, of course, we were good friends with the Lifesavers. You know, we had friends and Waffle House and all that. I then went into a ballet career, and we were apart quite some time, and then I ended up working on cruise ships. Now, this is a time before cell phones. This is a time before iPhones. So if I'm on a cruise ship somewhere in Australia or Shanghai, whatever, I'm going to use my $8.25 in quarters to call my parents to just say hello. And I didn't see my sister or speak to my sister for many months until I would come home and I'd be here for a visit. I'd leave again. So there's no contact. It's kind of weird to think about it that way. But then when I finally moved to the States and I would come back here and she had her various health challenges, the visits became more meaningful. But one thing that I didn't realize that really hurt her, it came out in a phone call. She was sick and going downhill, and I said, "Do you want me to come?" Yeah, I get on a plane. She's like, "No, because you always leave." That hit hard, you know, and it's true. So in any case, I did come. And she said, "Oh, I'm going to die, you're here." You know, these all hard moments. But she was very intuitive. She had a spidey sense about everything. She knew, and this is, I feel, why she was so connected to nature, connected to animals and spirits, you know, of the universe. And we very much have a lot of belief systems that are similar, and we are very connected that way. We could speak about things that other people would say woo-woo, you know. And it was a difficult time, but I don't want to end on a sad note because that's not what Nati would be and want. What I do know is that Nati was very particular about appearance. I would come up and she'd say, "Rika, your hair is a mess. You need highlights. You can't walk around the planet with your hair in a mess." So I figured, okay, we have our gathering today. I will go to the hairdresser. "Nati, I got my hair straightened. I've never done that in my life. And cut. The highlights will come later, you know." But I just thought, because she was particular about it, I would do that. So Steph and I yesterday in Bryanston Shopping Center, I just said, I just need a hairdresser, any hairdresser, just a hairdresser. What can go wrong? So we walk into the Carlton hairdresser, I make an appointment, and I go there this morning. And she's like, oh, you're going to a party tonight? I'm like, no. I didn't feel like talking. But then I said, there's an important family occasion. And then as she's busy hunting with my hair, I said, it's actually my sister's memorial service today. And her face dropped, and she said, may I ask what it is, or what it was? I said, breast cancer started. She's like, that's my journey too. And then she described her path, and the weird thing is, how the conversation developed is, she said, you know, but I also see things different. I'm so interested in astrology. I love numbers. And Nati loved numbers. It's kind of a weird how she passed and moved on at the time of 2,300 hours, but 23 minutes at 11 o'clock at night, so 23:23. And we are gathered here today on the 25th of January, 2025, 25:25. So the numbers are here, right? So in any case, I go, we pay, we have a lovely time, and I just pulled out the photograph that is at the door, and I said, this is my sister. And she said, I know her. And then she took me to the front desk, and the lady where I was paying, she said, look, look. And they both said, we know her. She's been in the hairdresser. We thought she was away because it was Christmas season. We didn't know. And then there, the three of us with tears in our eyes. But she said, your sister, she was so much fun. When she would walk in here busy, she's chatting and she's laughing and Anna, you know, your sister, she has so much energy. And I thought, that is who she is. That if you meet Nati only once, you will never forget that you've met Nati. She had a force of nature. She loved fierce. She fought fierce, but her heart inside was soft like a marshmallow. And when you got to that, that's where it was. And when she was with you and your friend, she had your back no matter what. And that is what I remember about Nati. And this, on WhatsApp, we would have a special way of signing off. We use the acronyms, the first letter, but what it really means is, love you madly, ba. Until later.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with. If I had a box just for wishes and dreams that had never come true, the box would be empty except for the memory of how they were answered by you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with.
So I'm sure that Nati is actually right here, right now, listening to all of that. And no doubt she feels your love and support that all of you have for her. And just reflecting on some of the stories, like if you had the privilege of having your toes stepped on by Nati, that was because she loved you. And the wisdom that she left will live on in all of us. And so as we come to the close of our time together, and in a small way say goodbye to Nati, I want you to know that Nati is not gone. It's almost, she's just changed states. Like water is in its steam state, still water, but not as physical. And Nati would want you to think about her and talk about her and remember the joyous times you spent together. And Nati would want you to mourn and grieve for a while, but for not too long. So remember her fondly, her spirited personality. And you could light a candle and celebrate life, and even as a way of remembering her, even just donate a bag of food to a local animal shelter. Nati would want you to get on with your lives and think of her often, as she's doing the same thing from where she is now. And she was close to her mom. And now this is almost like part of following where her mom is, with Margaret. So we honor Margaret, and we honor Keith, her husband. And we also honor Keith's children as well, Bruce and Wayne. And Michelle, a friend from school. And then even during COVID, the Danephone knitters who could get together and support each other. And not only support each other, but support the Mandela Fund and the children. And also, very importantly, people who have tuned in and been part of today, even though not physically, but definitely in spirit. So in closing, let us all remember Nati as a person of integrity and kindness and strength and love. And she touched all of our lives in very unique ways, leaving us with enduring memories and lessons to carry forward. And as we bid farewell to this chapter of her life, let us not mourn her passing, but celebrate the richness of her journey. And I've been asked to read this poem. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled, from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages and towns. And in front of her, she sees in an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. Go back is impossible in existence. And the river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear, because that's where the river will know. It's not about disappearing into the ocean, but it's becoming the ocean. This beautiful poem is written by Khalil Gibran. And so as we end the session, the time together, I'd like to, we're going to play some music from Frankie, who Nati really loved. And so as you listen to that music and you allow yourself to connect with that part of you that really celebrates, and spend a little bit of time listening to it, and then we're going to crack open the champagne. So while you're listening to the music, go over to the side, get yourself a glass of champagne, and then that toast that you wanted to give her, your toast you needed to give her, then that's the time to give it. Thank you.
And now the end is near, and so I face
the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there